And of course, Isbar, the other thing was a friend Isbar. His name was Isbar from New Jersey. He and I were hunkered down very close to two distressed vehicles, and he was down behind a half track, and we were almost 5 feet from each other. All at once, there's a earth-shattering blast, and the smoke and the shell and the dirt came over me, and I didn't get injury, but I couldn't see. And then it settled down, and I looked over where he was, and he was underneath this vehicle. What had happened, no doubt, was the shell hit at an angle to where it lifted up the vehicle and turned it over on him. So there's only a leg sticking out, and I said that was Isbar. He was dead, gone. It was a huge half track. There's no way at all, and they didn't even try to get it off of him. The hostilities were so bad you couldn't get it off of him anyway. Had to leave it there. But under the looks of the machine, it was so heavy there's no use. I was pretty lucky, except I got a piece of shrapnel in the shoulder that had been spent. And the first afternoon, a shell burst close by, and I felt something hit my shoulder. It was a piece of shrapnel with jagged edges, about the size of a dime, and there was no penetration of my skin. It was just stuck in the coveralls. We were issued coveralls that were impregnated for gases, you know. Boy, I couldn't keep track. We would, as I remember, we'd holler over at the next foxhole and say, "It's your turn to go down and flag one of those boats in." This only happened in the first 3 days. After 3 days, they had it quieted down to where we could come out totally. But I think we shared the responsibility of directing these other boats in and land here. And, of course, in the meantime, all the other personnel were busy. The medics were busy patching up people. And they were also busy putting the deceased over, or marking them and getting them out if it's easy. Because they didn't do any tugging the bodies in the first 3 days out of the way. They left them. But as soon as things cleared out, they had some kind of arrangements for the bodies. And then you had the boat repair people that started to work. If any boats were damaged to the fact that we had people that could rebuild, not rebuild them, but repair them, they would repair them. And then you had the communicators. We had to work very close with the communicators. And, of course, in those years, you had those walkie-talkies only. They were good for the beach, and they were about the size of a boxcar, you remember, big. And they were good for the beach, talk in the beach. And the other communicators that had to talk to the ships out to sea had big, bulky equipment that was not like today's equipment. The ships would tell them what's available to come on. What do you want? We've got this much inventory, and you need it now. And the Army engineers would tell us what they need. And it was a cooperative effort on the Army engineers and the sailors. That's all I can say. And the communicators would verify this. They got two LCIs out there, not LCI, LCVP. Vehicle personnel, LCMs. They got 2 LCMs full of ammunition. You want them now, or do you need food? Well, you need K rations, or what do you want? They're ready to go. The 4th and 5th day, they brought in real huge rectangular tanks. A reservoir tank, like a dock. That's what it was. If you can visualize a oil drum, only rectangular, 20 times the size of an oil drum. They bolted them together. It was called a Rhino Ferry. They must have bolted 75 or 100 of these together and made a Rhino Ferry out of them. They would float, and they put two motors on the back. And this was only third or fourth day after fifth day. I never did understand how they got from England over to our place, but they did. And what they were for is for loading automotive equipment, trucks, tanks, mostly anything that could propel itself off of that Rhino ferry. And so we got a lot of machinery and rolling stock in on those Rhino ferries. And boy, when they came in, they were really loaded. They had ramps across the front that would drop down, and your trucks, your tanks, your half-tracks, jeeps, or your Army artillery guns would roll right off of them. But they used that for a while. And then they made the dock down there and sunk some ships to make a big dock. But then the storm blew that away. But the storm came, I guess, about the time we were leaving.